What if one of the most important engineering systems in human history was built 1,000 years ago? Ancient Chinese engineers moved millions of tons of grain uphill across more than 2,000 kilometres without electricity, pumps or modern concrete. They built canal locks still used today. The Panama Canal operates on the same design first built in 984 CE. They created construction materials that outperform modern concrete in durability and water resistance, even after 6 centuries. This video shows 10 engineering solutions that prove ancient China was centuries ahead of its time, and why modern engineers still study these 1,000-year-old blueprints. Picture this, the year 1000 CE. 5 million tons of grain must move every year from rice fields in the south to the capital in the north. The distance? 1,100 miles uphill. Against gravity, through 5 major rivers that flood every spring. This is the Grand Canal, the longest man-made waterway ever built. It took 1,000 years to complete. These are solutions to problems we still face today: water management, materials science, supply chain logistics. From materials science to hydraulic logic, we are ranking these marvels by their impact, ending with the invention that fundamentally solved the problem to be stored and released slowly over years to feed the population year-round. Above ground, that was impossible. Heat, moisture and pests would destroy the supply. Grain was only half the challenge. Moving it across rivers required bridges that seemed to defy physics. How do you build a bridge long enough to span a canal, but high enough to let ships pass underneath? Most engineers would build one massive arch, thick, heavy, expensive. Chinese engineers did something different. The canal needed to cross Tantai Lake. The span was over 300 meters. But ships with tall masts needed to pass underneath. One massive arch would need enormous thickness. Too thick and ships couldn't pass. Too thin and the bridge would collapse. 53 arches, each one supporting the next. Total length, 316.8 meters. They called it Bao Dai Bridge, the Precious Belt Bridge. Each arch is 4.6 meters wide, but the three central arches are enlarged to 7.5 meters high. This creates a ship channel while maintaining strength. The genius is load distribution. Each arch shares weight with its neighbours. This bridge has carried traffic for over 1,000 years, from horses and carts to light modern vehicles. It's still standing. Modern engineers reverse engineered the stress using computer modelling. The arch angles create perfect load sharing. Roman arches are thick and massive. They overpower the problem with sheer mass. Floating, slow water drops it, and when water curves, heavy particles are pushed outward, just like how passengers feel pushed to the side when a vehicle turns. Engineers used this behaviour to their advantage. They built gentle curves into the canal at the most dangerous points, where the Yellow River joined the canal and where other muddy It's spring. The great rivers are flooding. You have minutes to decide. Sacrifice the Grand Canal to save Beijing? The Grand Canal wasn't just transportation. It was part of a tri-river control system managing the Yangtze, Huai, and Yellow rivers. When these rivers flooded simultaneously, the water had to go somewhere. Emergency spillways built into the canal system, massive sluice gates that could divert entire river floods into the 1,100-mile canal. The canal became a giant relief pipe. Officials watched water levels at key points. When floods threatened cities, they opened flash sluices to divert the flood into the canal. This meant sacrificing canal traffic to save human lives. This required understanding three interconnected river systems: predicting flood timing, calculating flow rates, managing water pressure across hundreds of miles. Historical records document specific flood events: the Great Flood of 1128, the Yellow River course change of 1148. In each case, officials opened canal spillways to save downstream cities. They built a regional water management system. The canal was transportation during normal times and disaster relief during emergencies. But floods weren't the only water problem. What happened during droughts? What do you do when your 1,100-mile canal starts running? You can't make it rain. You can't stop evaporation. But you can store water when you have it and release it when you need it. The Grand Canal depended on seasonal water flow: monsoon rains in summer, dry periods in winter, drought years when rivers dropped to dangerous levels, massive artificial lakes with engineered embankments, Dongping Lake, Anshan Lake. These weren't natural water bodies. They were carved and expanded by human engineering. The Chinese called them Tianqi, lakes of the heavens. During monsoon season, excess water flowed into these reservoir lakes. During dry periods, officials opened controlled releases. Gravity fed water back into the canal system. No pumps required. These lakes stored billions of gallons. Dongping Lake alone could hold enough water to fill the canal for months. The embankments were massive earthwork projects designed to withstand enormous water pressure. Modern satellite imagery shows these lakes still exist, still function as water reserves. The embankment engineering is still intact after centuries. They created the equivalent of modern reservoir engineering 600 years before we had the technology. Passive water storage using only earth, stone, and gravity. But the most brilliant solution was at the canal's highest point, where water had to flow in two directions at once. Here's an impossible problem. You're at the highest point of the canal. Water needs to flow north to Beijing. Water also needs to flow south to Hangzhou. But water only flows downhill. How do you make it go in opposite directions from the same point? The Grand Canal crosses the continental divide. At this point, you need water to split perfectly, 70% north, 30% south, automatically, without human help. A stone structure called the Dragon Nose at Nanwang in Wenshan County. It looks simple, a wedge-shaped stone barrier in the middle of the river, but the engineering is extraordinary. Water hits the Dragon Nose at the calculated angle. The stone wedge splits the flow exactly as needed. 70% diverts into the Lesser Wen River toward northern reservoirs. 30% continues south. No moving parts. This is passive hydraulic logic. Without sensors or moving parts, the Dragon Nose functions as a stone analog computer, using fluid pressure alone to execute a stable 70-30 water split. Built between 1411 and 1505 CE, the structure underwent multiple construction phases with constant refinement of angles and proportions. Assistant Commissioner of Transport for Huainan, 926 to 1001 CE. He was frustrated by grain barge wrecks and bandit theft. 2 sluice gates 250 feet apart. A chamber between them with a roof for protection. Fill the chamber with water and boats rise. Drain the chamber and boats descend. The chamber equalizes water pressure, allowing ships to reset their elevation. This solved the impossible problem of moving 100-ton ships uphill. The first pound lock was built in 984 CE. By the time Europe adopted similar technology in the 14th century, China had already spent 400 years moving 100-ton vessels uphill. From the Panama Canal to the Suez, the world is still utilizing Chow Wei-Yue's 10th century vertical reset to bypass gravity. Every major shipping channel on Earth depends on this principle. Without this invention, there is no global trade as we know it. The original lock design is documented in the Song Shu, History of Song Dynasty, volume 307. Modern canal locks are identical to his design. The technology stopped evolving because you can't improve perfection. This wasn't just a clever solution to a local problem. This was a fundamental breakthrough in how humans interact with gravity and water. One engineer's frustration with broken boats led to technology that runs modern global trade. These 10 marvels prove something profound about human innovation. The designers of the Nanwang water split didn't have flow modelling software, but they understood fluid dynamics so precisely that their stone computer still calculates perfect flow ratios after 6 centuries. The next time you face an impossible problem, don't ask, what technology can solve this? Ask, what am I not understanding about this problem? The Chinese engineers who built the Grand Canal weren't smarter than modern engineers. They just looked deeper. They studied the problem until they found the elegant solution hiding underneath the complexity. Innovation is about understanding the problem so completely that the solution becomes obvious. Which of these marvels impressed you most? The pound lock that runs every modern canal? The sticky rice mortar that outlasts concrete? Or the water split that thinks for itself? Drop a comment and let us know. If you want to see more engineering mysteries from history that still amaze modern engineers, hit the subscribe button. The past has secrets that could change how we build the future.